In addition to amounts otherwise available, there is appropriated to the Administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency for fiscal year 2022, out of any money in the Treasury not otherwise appropriated, $250 million, to remain available until expended, except that no funds shall be disbursed after September 30, 2031, to develop and carry out a program, to be known as the Environmental Product Declaration Assistance Program, to support the development and enhanced standardization and transparency of environmental product declarations for construction materials and products, including by 1. Providing grants to businesses that manufacture construction materials and products for developing and verifying environmental product declarations. 2. Providing technical assistance to businesses that manufacture construction materials and products in developing and verifying environmental product declarations. And 3. Carrying out other activities that assist in measuring and steadily reducing the quantity of embodied carbon of construction materials and products. B. Administration of funds. Of the amounts made available under this section, the Administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency shall reserve 7.5% for administrative costs necessary to carry out this section. C. Definitions in this section. 1. Embodied carbon. The term embodied carbon means the quantity of greenhouse gas emissions associated with all relevant stages of production of a material or product, measured in kilograms of carbon dioxide equivalent per unit of such material or product. 2. Environmental Product Declaration. The term Environmental Product Declaration means a document that reports the environmental impact of a material or product that a. includes measurement of the embodied carbon of the material or product, b. conforms with international standards, such as a Type 3 Environmental Product Declaration, as defined by the International Organization for Standardization Standard 14025, and c. is developed in accordance with any standardized reporting criteria specified by the Administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency. Sec. 30114. Environmental Protection Agency Methane Fee. A. Appropriation. In addition to amounts otherwise available, there is appropriated to the Administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency for fiscal year 2022, out of any money in the Treasury not otherwise appropriated, $75 million, to remain available until expended, except that no funds shall be disbursed after September 30, 2024. To carry out Section 136 of the Clean Air Act, as added by this section. B. Amendment, Part A of Title I of the Clean Air Act, 42 U.S.C. 7401 its Sec., as amended, is further amended by adding at the end the following, Sec. 136. Methane fee from petroleum and natural gas systems. A. In general, The administrator shall impose and collect a fee from the owner or operator of each applicable facility that is required to report methane emissions pursuant to Subpart W of Part 98 of Title 40, Code of Federal Regulations, or any successor regulations. B. Applicable facility. For purposes of this section, the term applicable facility means a facility within the following industry segments, as defined in Subpart W of Part 98 of Title 40, Code of Federal Regulations, or any successor regulations. 1. Offshore petroleum and natural gas production. 2. Onshore petroleum and natural gas production. 3. Natural gas processing. 4. Natural gas transmission and compression. 5. Underground natural gas storage. 6. Liquefied natural gas storage. 7. Liquefied natural gas import and export equipment. 8. Onshore petroleum and natural gas gathering and boosting. 9. Onshore natural gas transmission pipeline. C. Fee amount. The amount of a fee imposed and collected under subsection A for an applicable facility shall be equal to the product obtained by multiplying 1. Subject to subsection D. The number of tons of methane reported for the applicable facility pursuant to Subpart W of Part 98 of Title 40, Code of Federal Regulations, or any successor regulations, during the previous reporting period, and 2. $1,500. D. Intensity threshold. 1. Petroleum and natural gas production with respect to imposing and collecting the fee under subsection A for an applicable facility in an industry segment listed in paragraph 1 or 2 of subsection B. The administrator shall impose and collect the fee on the reported tons of methane emissions that exceed 0.2% of the natural gas sent to sale from such facility. Two. Non-production petroleum and natural gas systems with respect to imposing and collecting the fee under subsection A for an applicable facility in an industry segment listed in paragraph 3, 5, 6, 7, or 8 of subsection B. The administrator shall impose and collect the fee on the reported tons of methane emissions that exceed 0.05% of the natural gas sent to sale from such facility. 3. Natural gas transmission with respect to imposing and collecting the fee under subsection A for an applicable facility in an industry segment listed in paragraph 4 or 9 of subsection B. The administrator shall impose and collect the fee on the reported tons of methane emissions that exceed 0.11% of the natural gas sent to sale from such facility. E. Period. The fee under subsection A shall be imposed and collected beginning with respect to emissions reported for calendar year 2023 and for each year thereafter. F. Implementation. In addition to other authorities in this Act addressing air pollution from the oil and natural gas sectors, the Administrator may issue guidance or regulations as necessary to carry out this section. G. Reporting. Not later than 2 years after the date of enactment of this section, and as necessary thereafter, the Administrator shall revise the requirements of Subpart W of Part 98 of Title 40, Code of Federal Regulations. 1. To reduce the facility emissions threshold for reporting under such subpart and for paying the fee imposed under this section to 10,000 metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent of greenhouse gases emitted per year. And 2. To ensure the reporting under such subpart, and calculation of fees under subsection C of this section, are based on empirical data and accurately reflect the total methane emissions from the applicable facilities. H. Liability for fee payment. A facility owner or operator's liability for payment of the fee under subsection A is not affected in any way by emission standards, permit fees, penalties, or other requirements under this Act or any other legal authorities. I. Use of proceeds. 1. Transfer of funds. For each applicable fiscal year, the Secretary of the Treasury shall, without further appropriation, transfer to the Administrator an amount equal to 75% of the amounts received during the preceding fiscal year as a result of the methane fee in subsection A. 2. Use of funds. The Administrator shall, without further appropriation, use the amounts transferred under paragraph 1, except that no funds shall be disbursed after September 30, 2028, a. to cover all direct and indirect costs required to develop and administer this section, including the costs of I. Implementing the fee, 2. Continuous emissions and ambient methane and other greenhouse gas monitoring. 3. Preparing generally applicable regulations or guidance. 4. Modeling, analyses, and demonstrations. And v. Preparing inventories, gathering empirical data, and tracking emissions. B. For grants, rebates, contracts and other activities of the Environmental Protection Agency for the purposes of providing financial and technical assistance to owners and operators of applicable facilities preparing and submitting greenhouse gas reports under Subpart W of Part 98 of Title 40, Code of Federal Regulations, or successor regulations. C. For grants, rebates, contracts, and other activities of the Environmental Protection Agency authorized under Section 103 for methane emissions monitoring. and D for grants.